Hey friends, welcome in. This is Steph with Parentless Podcast. Today's podcast spotlight falls on the morning meeting with host Mandi Zucker. Again, we have to start with the name. The Mourning Meeting. Mourning is spelled Mourning. I love a good name, and I was immediately drawn to this clever wordplay and the picture that it brought up in my mind. The Mourning Meeting. Yes, please. The second thing that really caught my attention was the fact that this show is more specifically geared toward college-age young adults. We know college is a time where you might need support just in general, and then when you throw a grief event on top of that, holy cow. Please give us the resources. And this is what I would call this podcast, a resource for young adults. Mandi uses her education and her experience with grief to create a safe, non-judgmental space for young grievers to share their stories. And I'll tell you a little secret. As I was subscribing to the morning meeting on Apple Podcasts, I noticed that Mandi has already hosted some of the guests that I can only dream of interviewing. Be sure to check out all 21 episodes in Season 1, and you're lucky enough that you get to watch as Season 2 unfolds. You can find the morning meeting on any major podcast platform, and new episodes are released weekly on Tuesday mornings. Now, on with our episode, and thank you for joining me.
My name is Anshita. I lost my mom 2 years back. It's going to be 2 years on the 12th of April this year. And I'm from India, and I'm 20 years old. My mom got diagnosed with hemiparesis in 2016, so I had to kind of leave my education midway. So I was taking care of her and helping her to get better and all of that. So yeah, I didn't complete my education, and then I just went on to, after she passed away, after grieving a certain amount, I wrote a book. So I'm actually an author. And I hope to write more books about grief, about life after death, what are my beliefs and my experiences, so that it can help people also, they understand what one goes through.
What is the name of your book?
It's Our Time Together is the Greatest Gift.
This is a fact production of SETI.
That makes me sad comes and goes by. Could wrote the book of Joe instead. Oh, to go now. Heavy eyes, so help me make this bad over and over. Tell me what it takes to make you stay.
Who died for you? Who was your person?
So I lost my mom on 12th April 2019. And, she it's like she was not only my mom, but also my best friend. So I actually lost two people on the very same day. It's quite strange because I have never had a similar kind of a bond with anybody else, whether it's family or other relationships. And this was so different and very easy, if I may say. There was mutual respect, freedom, trust, that makes your relationship strong. So, yeah, I was pretty close to her. And I remember the day she passed away. Since I don't share a good bond with most of my family members, I kind of felt abandoned all of a sudden. I remember telling this to myself that, now you have to understand yourself, and you have to take care of yourself. And most importantly, you have to love yourself, because the person who did isn't around anymore to do that for you. So you are all by yourself, and you are all who you've got. So don't expect from your family, from your friends, because what you had with your mom, you're not going to get it anywhere. So that's the reality that I came across. And it was hard to accept. But then also, I feel what happens is that when you lose a parent at a young age, it's something like, there's a switch inside of you that's on. And you're not a girl anymore, but a lady. You want to take your mother's place. You get mature and you want to take the responsibility of family and of your life, and all of that. And, so I was kind of balancing between that. So, for me, it was something like that. A very special bond that I had with her.
And that's what a hard lesson to learn at such a young age. The only person that loved me is gone. So now I need to do it myself. Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
That's big.
And the biggest part is that you realize that yourself. I mean, because see, the only change around you is that person isn't there anymore. So no one is coming and telling you that, you're all by yourself and all of that. It's just something from inside. And, somewhere it hurts a little less because you don't have an expectation from others that they're going to be there, they're going to sympathize with you, and most importantly, understand you or your loss. So I think that's also very important, that everyone must know this, that, nobody's going to understand that what your loss means to you, because they don't share the same bond with that person. For them, they might get over it, they might move on, they might even forget, it just doesn't matter. But for some people, who really had a deep bond, it's difficult for them to even get past through a day, because there's so many memories around you, so many triggers, and then, it just could be anything.
What was your mother's name?
Her name was Tamanna, and that means desire in English. But I fondly referred to her as Tams. It was a pet name.
Oh, so on a regular day, would you call her Tams or Mom?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah. I would just, because as I said earlier, we were more like friends. So I would just go and address to her by, saying Tams this, or I just, would just say anything, and, she would respond the same way.
I like that. I liked when I saw that name. I like it. And then I noticed, is that your middle name as well?
Well, legally it's not mine, because we live in a country where, in a society where you take your father's name. But, I like to call myself that.
Okay. Good. That's a nice little reminder. And our listeners can't see this, but I do see in your background that you have a picture. And
yes.
And is that your mom?
Yes, that's my mom.
Very good.
She makes my background lovely.
Yes, she does. She's very beautiful.
Thank you so much. So she was 42 years old, and I was actually living in another city because I was going through depression, and, I didn't want to see her in the state of hemiparesis, because she was a very lively and outgoing person. She couldn't sit at home. She wanted to go out, have fun with her friends. She wanted to have fun with family, so it was just depressing for me to see her like that. And just after 2 months, she passed away. And that was the most heartbreaking thing for me, because, so I'll just take you a little back. I have seen death in my family before. 4 deaths of my grandparents, and it was all one after the other. But I never knew there is something like grief. It was not told to me. I didn't know that you would feel bad or, anything like that. So when I got the phone call that, she is passed away, I just didn't know how to react, because I was so numb. And the first thing I wanted to do was, just fly back as soon as I can, to be with her. But, and I remember that, when my car entered the gate of my residence, I didn't even wait for the car to stop. I just literally jumped out. And then I saw her in a coffin. And that just broke my heart, because I knew that this was the final time the both of us were going to be together. And, I don't have much time with her. It's only a few hours till she gets cremated. So And I didn't want that. I just wanted her to be there. And so it's like when the grief was taking in place and everything, and I was crying and all of that, I just, went upstairs to my room and I just locked myself, and I was like, I have some responsibilities to do. And, I was like, all the funeral and all the other functions have to take place. So I have to be there and I have to keep myself together. So I did that. I literally pretended I was okay for 17 days. And then once it was over, I just blasted. And, probably I was going through PTSD because I was getting these flashbacks. The moment I used to go to sleep, close my eyes, I could see that day, all over again. And then I just couldn't sleep. And till 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, I used to just sit up and cry myself to sleep. So it was all getting very difficult for me to handle. But then, again, you have to be there for yourself because, as I said, nobody will understand your loss. Like, as I said, I felt abandoned, that, nobody's here to help me. And the only person that I wanted is no longer there. The support that I wanted was from my mother, and she can't give me that support even if she wants to. So that literally shattered me.
Was it expected or not expected?
Actually, you know what? I really didn't expect that. While my mom was young, 2 times in her life, she's been critical in the hospital. And the doctors have given us a deadline, 24 hours, 48 hours. And she has come back home healthy, safe and sound. So I don't know what came into my head. I had an illusion that nothing is going to happen to my mother. She's going to be all right. Maybe even if I'm 80, she's going to be alive. I don't know why I had that impression about her. And I guess God just wanted to give me a reality check. And, so when this happened, I was like, no, this was not supposed to happen. She's lucky, So yeah, I had that thing in my head.
Does that give you any extra layers of grief or anything that you were not there with her when she passed away?
Yes, it does. My grief is not only about, okay, I have lost my mom. It's more of regret and guilt. So a few days before my mom passed away, she texted me saying that, why don't you come back home? So I was like, yeah, I'm planning to come back for my birthday, and, I'm just going to the doctors and everything. So she said, I think I'm going to die. So I was like, no, why would you say that, and all of that. So, and then she was like, no, I think I'm going to die. And if you don't come back, you won't be able to see me. So I just told her, no, don't say all this. I get upset and all of that. Nothing is going to happen to you. God knows how much important you are to me and how much you mean to me. This can never happen and all of that. And then when it happened, so the regret comes from there that, oh shit, if I would have gone back, maybe I would have been there. And the thing is there where you have that thought inside that maybe you could have saved her, So, and then there is guilt that why didn't you go back? So it's all just mixed up feelings. Then you are angry with yourself. And I feel that changes you, your behavior, your temperament. You become more irritated, short-tempered. You're mostly angry with yourself or with others around you, So, and that's hard for others to process because they don't understand what you're going through, So I feel it's kind of like complicated grief, if I may say. And also I have now started to mask my grief because from what household I come from, it's not valid. So I don't bottle up my feelings because grief is something very private. So whenever I grieve for her, it's all, like when I'm alone in the room, when there's nobody around, I'm thinking about her. Maybe I'm writing some notes or letters to her. I'm writing my journal. But other than that, it's kind of a mixed version, balanced version of complicated and masked grief together.
Okay, so now I need to touch on, you said that your grief is not valid where you live.
Yes.
So what is customary? How are you supposed to act when someone passes away?
A very short example that when my mom passed away, I was crying, and when my relatives were home, they were telling me don't cry, and I got angry. I was like, dude, my mom has passed away. Obviously, I'm gonna cry because that's what I'm feeling at this point in my life. I want to cry. I want to scream. I'm angry with God. I'm angry with everyone. I'm angry with myself. So yeah, it's totally okay to cry. So, they just expect you that you have to move on, live your life happily, because that's what your loved one would want. And your loved one doesn't want you to, be sad all the time, because that would make he or she suffer, and be in pain. So this is something that I've heard a lot of times, that, oh, if you cry, your mom is going to be sad. So don't cry. And I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, kind of like a sarcastic reply. But then, I'm way past that. I do cry because I think it's important, because you should never bottle up your emotions. Whatever you feel at that point, or even today, like even after this podcast is over, even if I cry, I will cry, and I will let that emotion out. And it's absolutely healthy and normal.
So you being so young, losing your mother, and now your family's telling you, oh, don't cry, you're making your mother sad. I am glad for you, I guess, that you're able to have that knowledge that you need to cry and you need to grieve and you need to let it out.
Like, you cannot forcefully be happy, because at some point in my life, I felt that someone is sitting literally on my chest and telling me that smile, be happy. And I'm like, I just can't. Even after 5 years, if I am missing my mom, and if I am, upset about it, and I want to be kind of self-isolated, and I'm just grieving and all of that stuff, I think it's absolutely normal, because that's what my bond was with her. So, and it's not gonna change, even if death has come into the picture. It's never gonna change my love for her or anything. So I can't force myself to smile or be happy in a situation.
How has the death of your mother changed your life?
Completely. I don't know. It's just that while she was unwell, I was there with her, literally like 24/7, because I was taking care of her, mothering her in a lot of ways. And then, now when she's not around me anymore, it's just like for any small advice also I would go to her, that I need this help with this, that, and all of that stuff. So actually she was emotionally available for me while I was having a turbulent relationship with my father. She was there. So it's like very much from the beginning, it's like I was having one parent, that for all my needs, I would just go to her and discuss things with her. She would discuss things with me. We would laugh. We would crack jokes. We were just happy in our small world, So, and that has now completely changed, because now, I don't know how this may sound, but I'm like the most misunderstood person. Whatever I say, sometimes my words are misconstrued, and my mom really understood me, and she gave me that freedom. There was no authority that, I'm your mother, so do as you're said and all of that. And there was trust, She knew that her daughter is capable, and I knew the same for her. And then, it was just that I've not had that with anybody else. So mostly, it's like you're all by yourself rowing the boat, because your partner's gone. So she was like my companion, and it's just like you don't expect such a sudden change, because as I said earlier that, I've seen death in my family. I didn't know what grief was like. Actually, I thought that maybe, okay, even I will move on. But no, that was not the truth. And I just realized that.
And do you ever talk to her now?
Yes, I do. I feel that just because a person has passed away, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't communicate with the person. Because it seems like you have just forgotten in a way. Because while that person was here, you would, communicate every day. So I write letters to her before I go to bed. And during the day, I write notes to her. If I'm angry at someone, if I'm upset about something, I'll just say that, I got angry today. Tams, this, that, and all of that. And I'll just write the letter and I'll give it to her. And then I store it in an envelope and I keep it right in front of a photograph. And then, I just want to keep them. I don't want to get rid of them. So, and I keep having these additions in the letters, like, so we had this one thing while I was living in another city that every night before sleeping, we used to text each other that good night, sweet dreams, sleep well, take care. So I write that in the letter, even today. And I also write that, keep showering your love and blessings on me and do visit me in my dreams. And she frequently visits me in my dreams. And I don't know how this may sound, but the dreams are very similar to what I write to her in my letter, and I know that she, like in the dream, I know that she is not around anymore. So we are just two people having a conversation, that's all. So that makes me happy. I talk to her photographs. Sometimes I just talk aloud because, they might hear you. I don't know. We all will know that when we are in that part of the world, but I do like to do this. It's very therapeutic.
It sounds like it. And I like that you keep up your sayings, good night, sweet dreams, and all of that. Yeah. And actually the last couple of people that I've been talking to, they've also written letters, and they're a little further on their journey. And so one lady said, I have them sealed somewhere, I might look at them later. Do you have a plan? I mean, maybe you don't. I'm sure it's too early. Do you have a plan? I mean, do you think that you'll go back and look at these later, or are you just going to write them and then maybe not look at them?
I have had a plan for these letters that is that, sometimes I do read it. So basically, once the envelope is full, sometimes I do remove some and I just, read and think about that day when I wrote this letter. So my plan is that when I die, I want these letters to be cremated with me because they are private and confidential. So I have literally thought so far that I don't want anybody to read these letters. They are very private. It's only between, conversation between a mother and a daughter. So I don't want anyone to read it. So if something happens to me, whether it's suddenly or by natural age, just burn them with me. Don't read it. I have actually written down a note stating that, please burn these with me. And, don't slyly or anything, just to know what they were speaking or, just don't keep it with you or read it, because that would really upset me. So, there's something like that is written down and kept safely in my cupboard.
Some people might think that it is a little far off down the line for you to think like that, but I don't. I think it's perfectly... I mean, also with your mom passing away, you would probably be more heightened in realizing that you need to plan for that. But I like that you've thought all the way down the line about what's going to happen with these letters.
Also with grief, since I lost her so suddenly, I do think that, today you're breathing, but you don't know that tomorrow morning you're going to wake up, So, why not think that far? It's absolutely all right. But also live in the moment.
And I love that you mentioned, I do always like to ask people, if you've had signs from your person, and you mentioned that you dream about her all the time. Do you think do you count that as a sign from her, or it probably has to do also with you writing these letters and her being so present in your thoughts all the time? I don't know. What are your thoughts on your dreams?
See, I really feel that she kind of connects with me, because my dreams are exactly the same as what I write in my letters, because I have written a doubt and I have mentioned it. So she comes and she gives me the answers. So, I mean, see, I have told this to a lot of people. I have shared this, but they are like, no, okay, this might be your fresh mind in the morning and all of that. Nothing like that. But, if this feeling that I have that, okay, maybe my mom connects with me, if it's making me happy in some way, then I don't want to get rid of this feeling. I still want to have it. And, at the end of the day, I mostly listen to my own self. So, and it's like sometimes the dreams are heartbreaking, like if I may share one. So just after a few months, my mom passed away. I had this one dream that, she and I were in a car and she was driving, and I knew that she wasn't alive. And it was a very isolated road. And, she told me that, Anshita, show the world how much you love me. And then I just woke up and I thought of the book that, okay, let's write a book. So, yeah. And, it's like she's constantly trying to help me, because I'm also kind of getting busy with doing something. And, and like, if one more I may share, this was really heartbreaking because I could literally feel like a chest pain when I woke up. So I was somewhere near my house only, and I get a call that your mom has come back and she's in the room. And I immediately rushed home. So before I enter the gate, there's a window so I can see the person sitting. So the moment I've entered the gate, I can see my mom. And I just immediately rush inside the room and I see her. And there are tears in my eyes, and I tell her that, why did you go? Do you know what my condition was? So she's like, I've come back now, so smile. And then she just smiled. And when I woke up, I don't know, I didn't know what to feel. I was just so numb because I knew she's not there and this dream is not true. She's not come back. But maybe that was a sign from her side that I'm there with you in spirit, And I also do write messages from her phone to mine. So when my book got launched, I wrote a message from her phone that, I'm very proud of you. And I sit right next to you when you cry. I smile with you, So, yeah, I think all that is true in some way. It's just that we don't know these things because it's just a mystery whether there is life after death and all of that. Basically, whatever stages you go through in grief, so my dreams are kind of related to that. Like when I was, angry at God, I had this dream once that, my mom was literally begging towards God that, I want to live for my children, so please send me back. And then again, I woke up, I was very angry at God for doing this. And, all of that was happening with me. But then I also think that I'm somewhere also happy that she visits me, because that's really a very big deal for me. So, yeah.
We'll be right back.
If you have a story you'd like to share, please give me a call at 623-396-6069. You don't even have to talk to me if you don't want to. You can leave a voicemail. You can send me a letter at parentlesspodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again for taking the time to stop in. If you'd like to support the show and have access to exclusive content, please visit www.patreon.com/parentlesspodcast.
If you don't want to talk about this, then that's okay. But you mentioned that you were angry with God previously and now. What is your belief now with God? Are you no longer angry?
Well, actually, the thing is that I'm more angry at myself than I would be with God, because I literally see that for myself. I struggle with myself every day. And when we talk about self-love, it gets even more difficult for me at this point in my life, because I just think I have these horrible thoughts that, at some point I was thinking that maybe you're not a good daughter. Why didn't you go when your mom was calling you? But if you love her so much. So it was actually, I was, it had like a negative effect around it. So, but yeah, I was also very angry at God, and I think I still am, because when people tell you that, your mom wants you to be happy and that kind of stuff, and this was written and all of that, destiny and stuff like this, you just feel that, it could have all changed if God wouldn't have made her sick, if the death was prevented. Maybe we would be happy. Maybe this podcast wouldn't be happening. I wouldn't be here. So why not that things happen that way? So yeah, and I'm but most importantly, I'm angry because they have this thought that God knows everything, what's happening in your life. He's aware. And if he was aware and he knew that I was close to my mom and the bond that I share with her, I mean, how could he take her? Because now I'm just lonely without her. I don't have anyone with me the way she was there. She could tolerate my temperaments when I was angry, when I was, whatever, because that's what a mother does. She just loves you affectionately, and there's so much of warmth in it that, you're just like, yeah, it's all right. This is heaven, a mother's love. So, I was just like, why did this happen? So maybe there were just mixed feelings. So I don't think so I can ever be okay with God. But then, I'm like, it's all right because this is what you've done. And if one day I am going to meet my mom, like how I say this, that in another time, in a happier place, you'll meet again. So honestly speaking, I'm literally waiting for that day when I reunite with her.
What would you say to your mom now if you could?
I'm sure she's hearing this right now, and she's there in the background as well. So what I would really say is that, I would just ask her to come back. I would just be like, Tams, if I may turn around, Tams, please come back, because I really need you, and my life is literally dull and meaningless without you. And I don't know how to be myself without you, and you complete me most importantly, and I'm just lost without you. So yeah, that's what I would say. So just come back.
And I see that you have your candle going there in front of her picture behind you. Do you light that every day? Is that going all the time?
Yes. So it's an electric thing. So it's
okay,
like switched on 24/7. I also have my book kept next to her.
Okay.
And even though I have, like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with God, but I know she is with God right now. So I have a picture of a Buddha and with her, and also of Lord Ganesha, because I know that she's with them. So yeah, I have to also be happy with them so that, she's all right.
I like that you have her picture out all of the time. I mean, I have pictures I have a picture of my mom. But I do like the actively, I don't know. I feel like she's there active in your life, like with you having her picture there all the time. Yeah.
Very much. And actually it's like, I have a lot of her pictures in my room. It's literally filled with photographs of the two of us together, of my father and her, and, of our family. So it just gives me a reminder, so I do call my room as the room of memories, because, there are pictures all over the room. So everywhere I look, in whichever corner, I can just see her. And that makes me happy. So.
Good. What is your relationship like with your father now? Did it bring you closer or not?
Actually, No, it didn't. I thought it would. At least I had that hope, but I didn't keep much expectations from him. So it didn't really hurt me because while she was alive, he wasn't there around me much, to parent me or to, just be emotionally available or to express love. I had that thought that, maybe, okay, what if things change and stuff like that? But then, it didn't. And I was all right with it. So I never felt that way that, no, it should change or I, had a fight about it, because it's like when two people don't get along well together, I don't think so they should be forced to be together. That just be happy now you're a family and stuff like that. So that just makes things more complicated. It's like he today, during this time, he does his own thing. I do my own thing. We don't get into each other's ways. And I think we're happy like that.
We touched on this a bit. You mentioned you write your letters to your mom. You mentioned quite a bit of coping mechanisms, but if you can just put them in a nice little box here for me together, what do you do for those coping mechanisms?
So basically, before everything was much negative. Now, with the positive stuff that I do is just that as I said, I write letters. Sometimes during the day, I will just write some notes to her. I'll draw something, for her, maybe a card or something. Also, I listen to music. So basically, I'll just tell you, my mom's name, that is Tamanna. So it comes in a lot of Hindi songs, like Bollywood songs. So I listen to those songs that has her name in it. And, so I just like to express my grief, even if it's only me around who is seeing it. Tamanna means desire.
Okay. So then, there's probably a lot of songs then for you to listen to.
Yeah, a lot of songs. Yeah.
Did she have any phrase or any certain thing that she would say? I know you mentioned what you do say in your letters. Any phrase or word that she would say a lot that you remember?
So actually, while she was unwell, she got into Christianity and Buddhism, and she was also kind of depressed with the fact that, she is kind of on bed almost of the time. And it was like she almost left herself. So I remember she read this quote somewhere and she told me that, life if well lived is long enough. So, and she's lived for 42 years and she has literally lived her life like a queen. She got what she wanted. She was very outspoken, opinionated, and she never really got scared or, to express herself or anything of that sort. And then, almost I feel like she lived a perfect life, something that I aspire to live, so sometimes I do think about that, she lived a good life, but then I want her to live more, So, then these are the things that happens while you're grieving, while I'm grieving for her, because basically she's like my in-house fashion police. And I remember I'll just tell you the story. So I used to go shopping with her while she was all right. And whenever I purchase something, I want her to say that I'm looking good. Only then I will buy it. I'm so used to that. And then, when she got paralysis, I had not shopped for a very long time. And she told me that, go shop something for yourself. And I went to the mall. I went from one shop to the other. I just couldn't find anything. And I came back home empty-handed. And she asked me that, where are your bags? So if I would have been in your place, my hand would be full of bags. So I was like, Mama, I couldn't shop without you. And I could just see it from her face that she really felt bad that, she can't do things for me the way she used to do before. Because, we both have so much in common, like whether it's having love for gadgets. I remember if a new Apple product is launched, she wants to be the first in the store to purchase it. So it's just like we have so much in common that makes our relationship so easy, than the others. So if it's that, how, like back to your question about how my life has changed. So in these ways, it has really changed a lot, because now I see myself doing everything, the things that I'm used to be doing with her, whether it's arranging the food menu, because we both are big time foodies. Even while she was sick, she just couldn't resist herself from eating, the junk food, the colas and all of that. She just wants to have it. So I just get that all from her, so now when the cook comes to you and asks you, like, what do you want to eat? I'm not used to now looking to the left side, because she's not there to, so that I can ask her, but, so something like that.
Have you had any problems or any situations where after she did pass away, you did go to the store and you just couldn't buy anything, or when you were asked what you were going to eat, you just couldn't make a decision?
Yes, it has. And it's very recent. Like, it keeps happening with me. So just recently I had gone to the mall, and again, I went from one shop to the other. So what I did was I picked up a lot of stuff, but then I just couldn't choose. I was like, okay, because that person is not there, to say that, okay, I'll go ahead, buy this, buy that. And I took everything, I tried everything, and then I gave it back. I was like, I don't know. Or, sometimes I'll just buy everything. So, but, like, people do tell me that my taste in food, or whether it's clothes or my mannerisms, is exactly like her. But still, I do find it difficult doing things by myself. Like, even like how you mentioned about the food part, even that's kind of difficult, because I'm like, I'm just very confused. I don't know. I have a lot on my mind right now, and I just can't decide.
I think I bring that up because it's not that, I didn't really lean on my mom to make decisions like that. But there are times in my life where I find myself just standing like, oh, I can't decide. I don't know. I need you to decide for me.
Yeah. It's like it makes it becomes difficult for you, because you are so much dependent on that person, and okay, maybe like even for these materialistic things, maybe if I say that, okay, I manage by myself. But then comes emotional dependency. So that is something that you really need someone then. Because for how long will you be doing for your own self? So you need someone to constantly motivate you, just give you a push, like a nudge. Or, you are doing okay, you'll be fine. Don't worry. If I may just say, like, I really relate to the line in the song All of Me, that my head's underwater but I'm breathing fine, so it's just
all the time,
something like that. All the time.
I think about that, that's for sure. But what do you got to do? I mean, you have to keep breathing and got to keep going,
because you don't know if anyone is going to send you the life jacket or a lifeboat.
In your dreams, does your mom ever, or maybe this hasn't come to a point yet, but has she ever told you that you're going to be okay?
No, she has not told me that I'm going to be okay. And actually, so I have, I don't know why, I was just so sorry that I was not able to be there around her. I have actually been to 2-3 psychics, to mediums, to just speak, and I've just got different kinds of replies. So somewhere I feel, okay, should you believe that? Should you not? Is it really my mom, saying something like this? So I really don't know, but I just know that I cannot forget her. And I know that, I have to just learn to live with my grief, because it's not like I can just get over it, that, it was yesterday's story, it's over now. I'm very young, I have to enjoy my life. There's so much more ahead of me. Yes, there is, I agree. But also this is a very big part of my life and very important than anything else. So I just have to learn how to strike the balance between being happy also later on in life, but then also giving myself time to grieve. I have this thinking that while my mom was alive, she wanted me to be happy. She didn't want me to cry. And if I'm crying, she would call me next to her. She would wipe my tears. She would kiss me. She would hug me. So I know that thing for sure that, death has not changed her opinion. She still wants me to be happy because she's my mother. But I think you just cannot be, because your grief is only, understand, you understand your grief. I think even my mom wouldn't be able to understand what I might be going through because I'm her daughter. So, it's the other way around.
I saw a picture of you with who I can only assume is your grandma.
Yes.
Is your grandma around? Okay. So,
yeah.
I mean, you're right though. Your mom never lost her mom. So in that aspect, I mean, she wouldn't know. She wouldn't know what you're going through. Yeah.
So, and I'm very close, the only person after my mom whom I'm close to is my maternal grandmother. And I kind of share the same bond with her that I shared with my mom, but it's again very different, even though it's kind of same, So, because we all have some kind of ego within us, but I have just noticed that, it just came into my mind right now while we were speaking that, whenever my mom would get upset with me, I never really had that kind of ego that, okay, I'm not going to speak with you or something like that. I think I would just be so clingy that I would tell her, no, talk to me, Tams, please speak. I'm sorry, it's all right, and stuff like that. And then she would just start talking. So it was a two-way thing. We wouldn't have egos for each other. If we fought, we just made up the next moment. We were, just fine. And I share that same thing with my maternal grandmother. So it makes kind of things easy for me. So she's literally the only person I talk to in my family currently.
Oh, well, I'm glad that she's there for you.
Yes.
Even though it's not like your mother is there at all. So she's the only do you have a big family?
Yes, big family.
And she's the only person you talk to?
Yeah, I mean, in terms to when I have to speak about my mother.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's the only person I would, maybe call up and say that, I'm missing her, because I understand her grief. She has lost her daughter, and I have lost my mother. So, yeah. And, but even in general, if I have to speak about my thoughts, if I have to just say that, okay, anything that I would share with my mom, I, just call her up and I discuss things with her. But not obviously on the same level as my mom. That's why I write the letters. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you have a lot of things in place to kind of help you, and get you through these days. I mean, you're fairly early into your grief because it's
2 years.
So you're 2 years. Yeah. To be 2 years. And yeah, I think I'm glad that you've created these methods. And I guess I'm like I said, it's I haven't done anything for myself really, I don't think. So I always really love to see people who are, you're not gonna, get to be 30 years old and then be like, oh, I should look into how I feel. You're addressing it now. You're gonna, it'll always be with you, but you're setting yourself up to succeed later on, I believe.
Yeah. And, most importantly, I want people to, kind of speak about grief. I don't want them, that's the entire reason, kind of I wrote the book as well, because I wanted to share my experience. Because, people think it's not, they don't really talk about death and stuff like that. It's kind of taboo. So they think it's all right. This person has gone. Now you live your life and, stuff like that. So I have noticed, so I was just going through your podcast. I don't think so you've done with any podcast with any Indian before.
No.
No, right? Yeah, so I'm the first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I want to change that, like for Indians, if it's that way, because they don't express themselves, especially about grief and losing a loved one. So I'm very happy to be the first, to speak about it openly.
We talk about things that remind you of your mom. So is there any smell, sight, taste, sound, food, anything that reminds you of her now?
It's, I don't know how I would answer that question, because it's like everything in my life that happens, it's like it goes through her and then it happens, and it's like, so basically, like, she has this perfume collection of hers. And I just go and I smell it. And I have not donated her clothes, all her belongings that she had from so many years. I have just kept it with myself, and exactly the way that, she wanted it to be in her cupboard. And it's like, even while she was sick, all the other stuff, like the measuring cup, for syrup and everything. So even all that stuff, I have just kept safe and sound, because I don't want to part away from it. I wanted to be there. There is like a nebulizer, stuff like this. So I just don't feel that I'm ready to, give all these things away, because it reminds me of her. I do take her blanket, when I go to bed, because it still has her smell, So, and, while I was in denial mode, I used to literally make bed for her as well. I used to keep pillows beside me, and I used to keep a blanket beside me. And I used to pretend that, she is sleeping right next to me. So that was for the first few months. And then, I was like, yeah. So then I just moved on to the other stages. And then, even when it's about food, like how I said earlier, that she was just a big time foodie. She just enjoyed junk food. So whenever I'm outside somewhere at a restaurant eating anything, I'm just like, I want to eat with you. I want to share this food with you, And like I said, when I go shopping to the mall, I see a mother and daughter shopping together. So it reminds me, takes me back to those days when we used to go together. So it's just everything happening around me. I don't know why, or maybe it's because my grief is like that, but it really goes through her and it comes to me. So every time it's whether it's listening to music as well, I just think of her. It all reminds me of her. So yeah.
I like that picture that it goes through her and it goes to you.
Yeah. And sometimes I do try to find meaning in it, that, why does this happen? Because this is my own life and I'm responsible for it. But how come, everything is happening this way? Like, first, the instant thought is about her, and then what I do is second, something like this. So I was like, okay, maybe it's supposed to happen that way. It's a true bond.
That's beautiful to hear.
So my mom used to do physiotherapy, and she kind of started walking. So only basically her one left leg and her left hand was paralyzed. That's all. So with physiotherapy, she started getting better. And when her physiotherapist used to come, she used to refuse to walk. She wanted me by her, with her. Like, I have to stand next to her, only then she will walk. And that just reminded me that when we are kids, we trust our parents that they will hold our hand and, they teach us how to walk. And now I'm doing that for my mother, So all these things were there in my mind that, your mom really needs you. You have to get all right. You cannot be this person that you're becoming right now. So, yeah, but that, I didn't know that it would, just change things completely. But then, yeah, after she passed away, I didn't really go to a therapist, because I think that your grief is, one should go in between. I did feel that, it's important to take care of your mental health and to express yourself, if you need to. But I thought that, my grief is so personal that I don't know if someone will understand it, because, mostly people listen to you so that they can reply back to you, not to understand you. So they're just waiting for you to complete, and then they'll come up with a reply. It's very hard for them to, they might sympathize with me for 6 months, for 8 months, but then, having that empathy for lifelong is very difficult to find. So I just thought that this is my grief, and I want to take charge of it, and I want to experience the good stuff and the bad stuff, because even if the pain that has been caused, since it's by my mom, it's still beautiful, and I want to embrace it, and it's absolutely all right with me. So I'll be okay. I just want to figure things out myself. But then I do feel the need to talk to a person sometimes. So, so that all keeps happening.
I do want to ask you, do you have one favorite story or anything about your mom, or one best memory or anything that you want to share with us? You shared several stories, and I really appreciate that. So thank you.
There are just so many, but I'll tell you something. So I live in a bungalow, and my mom used to live downstairs in a room, and my room was on the first floor. I used to go down to her room, and I used to enter, and I used to give her my hand, and I used to be like, "Hey, Tams." So we used to have these handshakes, and we used to literally have 20 to 30 handshakes a day. And I don't know why I used to do that. It was just very kiddish and childish of me. But then, I just wanted to make her happy. I was okay to be the joker in her life, because I knew that she was upset with her condition, and I just wanted her to smile. So we used to have these skits. So I used to sometimes enact something and, make her laugh. And sometimes her stomach would literally pain, because she's laughed so much. And she used to be like, just go out of the room right now. And I used to walk out of the room, and I used to come back in again. And she used to just smile. She's like, please just go. So, so I really miss that, because now whenever I go downstairs, I want to go back to that room, and I want to, pass out my hand and say, "Hey, Tams." So, but it's not going to happen. And, after she passed away, I don't really enter her room anymore, because it just makes me sad that, she won't be there. Yeah. And then, there are just so many other memories. So basically, my mom used to get these customized books with my name on it, whether it's a Cinderella story or anything. And, she used to get it printed in such a way that instead of Cinderella's name, my name is written. So it's Anshita. And she used to read these stories to me. And then for Christmas, so my mom basically encouraged us to celebrate all festivals, whether it's Eid, Diwali, or Christmas. And, she used to hire someone to be a Santa Claus. And she used to fill my living room with gifts. And that person, whoever dressed up as Santa Claus, would come, and he would literally, give out the gifts from the red bag. So she kept that thought alive in me that, Santa Claus is real. But then I grew up, so I got to know it's not real, So, but just so many things are there that, and, these are the things that I only want to do with her.
Having that room downstairs, I think that would be definitely very difficult. And I understand why you wouldn't want to go down there.
Yeah, and it's when I used to enter sometimes, and so basically there's a partition before you enter, and I used to just peep in, and I used to purposely show her that I'm there. I used to maybe put a shoulder outside a little more so that she can see that I'm standing. But I would pretend that she's not seen me. And then I would just peep, and then, just go and then hug her and be like, just act surprised that, she's not seen me. So it was just something kind of like that. And at times at night, she would feel really cold. So she would tell me that, put your blanket on me. And I used to just go and cuddle with her. And that's the most peaceful sleep I've had, just cuddling with her.
I like that. I like that for you that you had that. What can we expect to find in your book?
So my book's name is Our Time Together is the Greatest Gift. And my pen name is Anshita Tamanna Aggarwal. And you can find it on Amazon, Kindle, these platforms, Apple Reads and all of that. It has my entire journey, my childhood with my mother, our memories together. Then when she fell ill, how I was taking care of her, how I got to learn so much, even though I didn't go to a university, but life taught me so much. It taught me about hospitals, how one is supposed to talk to doctors, and, how do you take care of someone. Sometimes my mom's maids would be irregular attendance, and then I used to change her. And I was absolutely all right with it, because when I was a kid, I'm sure she must have changed me as well. So I don't mind doing that for her. It's just kind of like we were in a role reversal mode. So, and then, then it goes down to the time when I got to know that she passed away, about all the rituals and everything. And I also, basically, the immersion of ashes are supposed to be done by a male member of the family, either by the husband, father, brother, or son. But I did that for her, and I thought that I don't really believe in these traditions that it's only supposed to be done by a male member, because I think I have the equal right to do that for my mother, because it's just all right if I do it and it's nothing wrong. So I did that for her. And then, it goes down to about my grief, like what all I experienced. There were some health issues as well, that I had. So these things were happening, plus the emotional effect was happening. And then for a moment, I thought that maybe I'm just traumatized by what happened. And then most importantly, I developed a fear of losing people. Even though I was not close to my dad, I had a fear that he might go, because I have a younger brother and he is close to my dad. And I didn't want him, to have that kind of experience. So, and then I was scared for my maternal grandmother that, okay, she is anyway at a certain age in her life right now. And I was just so scared that I thought that, it might happen tomorrow. I was just so much into that thought. So, so then different kinds of experiences that I was having while I was, grieving for her, whether it was depression, bargaining, denial, and I don't really believe in the stage of acceptance, because I feel you have to just understand your loss. You cannot just, be like, okay, I have accepted she is not there around me anymore. Because, you accept it when you get over the denial phase. So it's more importantly that you know and understand what your grief wants from you, and you address it in that way. So, these things that I was learning by myself, and then at the age of 18, even though I'm an adult, I was parenting myself. I was trying to remember things that my mom has taught me, while she was there, the stories that she told me about her childhood. And then, I try to do things those ways. Like, and she has this recipe book. Sometimes I'll try to cook something, but, it doesn't taste like her food. But anyway, I still do try. I try to keep myself busy. So, yeah. And then now currently I'm just reading a lot about life after death, because I'm writing another book about, the ancient beliefs of the afterlife, whether it's like the Egyptian and the Roman beliefs. So I think I'm just so much passionate about my mom that I just want to do so much of research, because I remember I really wanted to know where is she, because I was not really into this kind of genre in reading. So I was just thinking that, where is she right now? What is she doing, during that first few months. And then I used to pick up books about life after death and all of that just to gain knowledge. I was also very angry at God that why didn't he give my mother a near-death experience or an out-of-body experience? I was just angry about that as well, that, why did you actually have to just take her away? Just give her that experience and then, give that life back to her.
Do you feel like there's anything that we haven't talked about that you would like to say?
I just want to say this to your audience, whoever is hearing this, that, if anyone is grieving in your family or in your friend circle, just let them be, So give them that space and try to be there for them in whatever way is possible for you. So, don't force them. So that's all.
That raises a good question. So if you have someone who's grieving, I mean, how did you want to be treated? Like, yes, just leave you, but do you want people to check on you? And how do you want to be treated when you're in your grief?
I just want that people should just let me be myself. There is a purpose of yourself, why you are on this earth, why you're born in a particular family, why you have particular experiences. It's just that you have to keep, it's like these are these presents that God has given you, and you just open that. And sometimes it's a good present, sometimes it's a bad present. So you just have to be okay with it and just smile and be like, I got this.
You have a very good message for everybody, and I am very excited that you chose Parentless Podcast to share your story with. I loved hearing all of the things about Tams, if I can call her that, and I thank you so much for sharing about Tams with us.
It's always a pleasure. I think that's what she would want. I mean, that's why she came in my dream and said that, show the entire world how much you love me.
Covered in cars, splitting fake skin, passing me by.
Parentless is recorded in Phoenix, Arizona. Find us on social media and any podcast platform. Music provided by Colin the Coco and the Revolving Birds. Studio provided by Fat Kid Productions. Check out one of the many shows available on our network. I'm your host, Stephanie Relaford. Thank you for listening to Parentless.